I want to talk about ERP systems, enterprise resource planning systems. The big three ERP system software tools on the market would be Bond, today Oracle, and SAP. They tend to dominate, I'm going to guess, 80+% of the marketplace for large, fully integrated information systems. That's what we typically refer to these type of systems. Everybody is listening to this today understands that their virtually company has to have one of these types of systems to be able to tie every element of the business together. Indeed, when the sales representative from one of those three companies or one of their competitors was selling your company on the idea of their system versus someone else's information system, in every one of those sales presentations, they talked about visibility and information transparency. Every single one of them said the top can see all the way to the bottom can see far up as management wants in the organization. There's transparency across business units. There's transparency across departments. There's transparency across functions. That these integrated information systems provide the kind of transparency and the kind of visibility, particularly the vertical visibility through the hierarchy, to be able to better lead and to manage the business. But that said, we have to wonder if you have that kind of visibility and transparency. So a client of mine had a CEO who could actually see down through their system and could actually see that some purchase orders were late. And particularly one buyer had a disproportionate amount of purchase orders that were late, that were past due from the suppliers. So many companies need. Let me give you a little story. Why do we still have to use the same hierarchical organization structure design? The CEO picked up the phone and called that individual and go, hey, I'm just curious. Maybe it was quirky too, but said, I'm curious about why you have so many more late POs than any other buyer in my organization does. And so the buyer answered the question and the CEO is perfectly satisfied. But that's when the problem started, because then the vice president of operations asked the CEO, why are you calling, 6 levels down in my organization? And the reason that vice president brought that up with the president was because his supply chain manager brought it up to him. His purchasing manager brought it up to her. And so you could see what happened is that the CEO effectively violated the communication channels dictated by the hierarchical organization structure, except the CEO existed within an ecosystem that allowed visibility and transparency. So one has to ask the question, if I have visibility and I have transparency, why am I not allowed to use it? And their answer to had a lot of the information rights. He or she could see all the way down through the organization. That seems to a lot of scholars and folks that I've talked to, seems to be around the confusion between decision rights and information rights. While the CEO, that doesn't mean they could act upon it. Of course, begs the question, why not? Why can't we act upon something that we have exclusive and solid visibility and is very transparent to us and apparently to everybody else? In that particular case, the CEO said, well, I contacted this person about having chronically late suppliers dictated by the past due purchase order metric. I contacted them directly because I could. And also, by the way, because apparently none of you have. In other words, the CEO said, I have the information rights and decision rights, in this case, more inquiry rights, are going to naturally follow. So here's the curious moment and the quirky moment that I want you all to be thinking about. If I implement information systems, whether it be in a small company or a large company, and if I have all the information I need, why am I not allowed to act upon it? That's my issue today. I'm not looking for an answer. I'm just asking you all to think about how an organization should be structured in a highly transparent, highly visible environment. It may be different than the way it's structured now in your organization. My curious and quirky moment for the day.
Thank you.